Hello everyone and welcome back to another exciting knife review by George. Today we're going to talk about the Yaxell Super Gou series 8 inches chef's knife. This is a beautiful knife and I've previously reviewed one of their smaller versions of this knife. Is the Santoku by Yaxell, having 101 layers of Damascus steel. Today we're going to review the big one. So as usual, I always skip the first page here, which just covers the specifications. I will load all this information to the video description of this video. We're going to jump into the details of the review. So the positive points is the quality and the fit and finish on this knife is excellent. And I'm a very detailed person. I notice like any defection, any imperfection or defects on the knife when I get one, but there's none on this knife. It's just so superbly built, excellent fit and finish, such a high quality. That's why I give a 10 out of 10 for this knife, for fit and quality and material, fit and finish and quality. Now the knife is a beautiful, stunning piece of art. So my wife actually saw this knife before. She was just impressed by this knife. See how the pattern on the Damascus is just so well polished, and you can see the image of my thumb in here in this polished edge. And now in detail, it's got very high craftsmanship. Very high quality craftsmanship, and the combination of traditional material, traditional craftsmanship is I'm talking about the Damascus pattern. Is Japanese are known for making their Damascus style blades, and also modern material, which is the sg2 steel used on this thing. It's a very high carbon chrome steel, which is offers a very good edge retention as well as corrosion resistance. Ergonomics on it is very great as well. Holding it like in my hand right now, it just feels like there's no hot spot at all, and it's just all smooth and very rounded handle. It is full tang. The blade tang does go through all the way over here. However, I'm not too sure how thin it is inside the handle. And the blade, obviously, you can see it's very, very highly polished, even just on the very edge there. It's very thin edge, so you won't be able to see very well. But the very polished edge and the blade will actually prevent, or at least resist rust very well. This knife is one of the 3 or 4 knives out of all my collection that was able to pop hair open. So I'm not going to be able to demonstrate that on camera because I've lost a bit of edge. But I'm going to do a very simple cut test. As you can see, it goes through paper very, very smoothly with no effort with the push cutting. And SG2 steel also is in the center as well. It's the center SG2, and the on the sides it does not specify what it is, but it's usually a higher stain resistant steel to cover the sides. And the blade profile is very, very thin. So if you look at this from this angle, you can see it tapers down to such a thinness that you almost can't see where it ends. So that means this knife is excellent and superb at cutting things like meat and vegetables. And using this knife to cut like fresh fish, it's just a beauty. It's just enjoyment for you. Anyways. It's very good at slicing. The handle for this thing is actually made to kind of prevent any water ingress. So if you look closely, they made it fit very well, and the line between the stainless steel and the Micarta here, it's all sealed very well with glue. And the Micarta handle here is going to be very durable and should be chemically reasonably very stable. Now, the negative points. The handle here it's not offering a whole lot of contour, so you can see it's just got like a round, sort of like straight shape with a slight belly here. We're talking about comparing it with the Western styled kitchen knives here. This is a Wursthof Classic, and you got a bit of a hook here to prevent your hand from slipping, and it just offers an extra bit of a security with that hook. In my opinion, that's very good, and so that's what I meant. And this knife is not definitely you should not put it in the dishwasher. Most of kitchen knives should not be put in the dishwasher for start, but most of the knives don't cost this much and don't have such a beautiful fit and finish. And if you put this in the dishwasher, I'm gonna guarantee you that the glue here will break and the handle will probably rust and everything will just go down south, I tell you. Now, there's no screw construction on this thing, obviously, and a very thin blade, so it's very highly vulnerable to rolling the edge if you cut something hard with it. There's no scallop on the knife blade as well, so if you're into that kind of thing, just be aware. But this thing actually offers a reasonably good non-sticking surface. Due to the Damascus, you can feel the pattern. It's got a bit of a texture on it, by the way. The positive things, based on my speculation, is that this thing will be ideal for a sushi chef, because, like I mentioned, it cuts so well that if you cut, like, say, fresh fish meat, it's just going to perform so highly well. There's no contest. Negative things. Okay, so the beautiful knife comes with a you can see very clearly there's the carving made by the craftsman. And what here says is Super Gou and 161 layers steel. Now this is actually, you can feel the texture if you got it in your hand. It's all chiseled out with a small chisel. This could encourage rusting because there could be some dirt and water trapped in there. So do take care of the knife if you do have one. And the blade, in contrary to a lot of Western styled knife, as you can see, they both have bolsters, but this one doesn't cover up to the blade side, and this one does. What I think happens is that when you use the knife really hard, there is using common sense, things fail at where they're weakest. And for this knife, the weakest point is around here, this region, where there's less material in between the two surfaces. So what happens when you cut something very hard is it's going to result to having a lot of force applied in here. So some kitchen knives under hard use or years of abuse, they can fail in there. Whereas I think in Western style, the kitchen knives, this is kind of just my opinion, really, using engineering logic. Having more material here sort of reinforces the weak point, because you can see there's a hunk of steel in there. And it's going to be very hard to break this knife at this point. So, if you were to break this knife around the handle region, it won't be here. It probably will be here, for example. So that's something I noticed about this Japanese styled knife. Other than that, the retail price of this knife is quite high. I can't remember what the retail was, but it's something around above $300 US dollars, or probably more. I got this knife on a special price, which is why I bought this knife at all. Otherwise, it's just too much money to spend on a kitchen knife, no matter how good they are. Also, this knife should not be used abusively. the manufacturer claims you should not chop frozen food or bones with this thing, and I can totally agree. I used one of this knife, the small Santoku I use it to slice open like a massive, really hard bread. That bread has like such a hard and tough skin. When I sliced it open, I found the edge slightly rolled. The reason is not because this knife has weak steel or anything. The steel here is very nice and very excellent. The reason is just simply because this thing is so thin. So thin coming down to this edge that it cannot take too much abuse. You should definitely use it, treat it with a lot of respect. Cut only vegetables and meat without bones, and it should last you years. The final note about this knife is that I think it's a knife that's designed for people who know what they're doing in the kitchen. You certainly shouldn't use it for like sort of a chopping through like like a bones or frozen food or anything. But with the right, like if the right user is having this knife, they can use this knife very well. And it's going to be a lot of pleasure to use this knife as well. If you need to chop something very hard, you should get something cheaper, like the Chinese-made cleaver costs you $20 US. You can chop anything with it and break it, it doesn't matter. But not with this knife. It's just such a beautiful piece of art, and you should definitely not abuse it. It will be a crime. Anyways, that concludes the review for this knife. I hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned. I will see you next time.